Um, yesterday, FYI, Charles, yesterday we discussed about the different apps, websites, and tools that you have to know, not you have, but at least you must know if you want to start as a general virtual assistant. So today is our last session, and to prepare you for the virtual assistant industry, we will do a mock-up interview. So you have to assume that I am your client and you don't know me. So it will be like we'll do a role play, but this time I want you to answer the questions the best that you can. Present yourself as if you are presenting to a client, and then the questions will be, I will be assuming like a client, and my industry is, I just have to, I'll be throwing some questions that I feel would be related to the possible positions that you might be suited for. Okay, so we will start. So I'll start with Vicky first. I have your
Okay.
resume here. And then I will proceed to Charles. So Charles, you can stay on mute while I am interviewing Vicky. And then after all the interviews, I will give you my feedbacks and some tips that you can apply for future job interviews. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, go. Hi, Vicky.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I am good. Thank you for asking. Before we start, my camera placement is located here in my keyboard. So during the interview, I may not look into your eyes. So yeah.
I see. That's why.
Okay.
So okay, yeah, that's okay. So you're from the Philippines, correct?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. It's nice to meet you. So I assume that you read the job post that I have, but just to give you a recap, so we are looking for an admin slash an HR, because we are a VA agency. And for me, I'm really having hard time screening VAs and having or maybe onboarding the right VAs for the organizations. I think that's my pain point at the moment. So that is why I am looking for an HR who will also act as an admin, because I believe that there's just a lot of things that I have to handle. So those are the things that I really, really need help with right now. But before we start, can you please introduce yourself to me, and how can you help me, or like in terms of your industry, what can you share that is related to what I'm looking for?
Okay, so good evening, Miss Sarah. I am Maria Victoria Wenceslao, but you can call me Vicky. I am 24 years old and I'm currently reside in the Philippines, which is in Las Piñas. So I'm a graduate of Bachelor of Science in Psychology. That was year 2019. So with the same year, I took the licensure examination for psychometrician. So luckily, I passed the board exam, but I didn't get a chance to pursue my profession since I landed my first job as a nature staff. So I am a nature staff for almost 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So during my first 9 months, I was under agency, which was Elsurf Corporation. So they are located in Makati, but I was deployed in One Alpha Com Inc., which is in Las Piñas. So as an HR staff, my main job responsibilities are recruitment. So I've experienced handling end-to-end recruitment. So from identifying the manpower needs, from sourcing of applicants and posting to different job portals such as Indeed, JobStreet, and FB groups. After
Mm-hmm.
that, I'm also the one who um, message the potential applicants for me to assist or give them the assessment, the IQ test, and also conducting the initial interview. So once they pass, I will just endorse them to the next interviewer. And when for successful applicants, I will message them the result and the requirements process. For those who failed, also I will also inform them for them to be aware of the status of their application. So we have manpower agencies. So for applicants who were sourced by agencies, I will inform them for them to guide the applicants for the requirements process. And after that, I'm also the one who conducts the onboarding orientation for newly hired employees and endorsing them to their respective departments afterward. Aside from the recruitment, I'm also timekeep DTRs since I've mentioned earlier that we have manpower agency. So basically what I do is just timekeep the DTRs, like computing the late absences and overtime. The HR officer is the final checker. Then once she finish all checking the DTRs that I been time kept, I will scan and email the DTRs to different or respective agencies of the employees. So aside from that, I also do memorandums like um employee memorandum for tardiness. So that was my responsibilities during those 9 months. Then after that, I got absorbed by One Alphacom Inc. So I was got direct hired. So my basically my job title is still HR staff, but there are some responsibilities that were added to my tabs. So aside from the recruitment, I've also handled employee relations, so I've experienced handling minor and major cases. So I'm also the one who assessed the incident report that was submitted or forwarded to the HR department, and I'm also the one who do or serve disciplinary action for those employee involved. Um, what else? Policy, memorandums, and other announcement. I'm also the one who do that refreshment of policies for our employees. And other administrative tasks such as filing, monitoring, and also reporting.
Uh,
Basically, that's all.
Awesome. Looks like you really have all the experiences when it comes to HR related tasks, and that is great. So, just a quick question. So, you came from an agency and you were observed directly by the company that you were assigned to.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
understood. So, if you are, since you mentioned about recruiting, what is the one thing, or maybe not the one thing, but what are the characteristics of an employee that you feel like would be become would that would become an asset to the company, especially like assuming that I am an agency, like yeah, I am in an agency, so we are hiring VAs. So what do you think would be something that we really need to look into a person, so we can consider them as an asset in the long term?
Okay. So during my interview when I am interviewing an applicants, we are not looking on the background or experience or educational level. So we are looking on their characteristics or personalities, or how they answer all of our questions or situational questions during the initial interview. And I think um characteristic is important
Mm-hmm.
than the skills, because skills can be acquired, so you can learn how to do these things, how you can do that. So um um unlike the characteristics, so it is in nature. So it's like that. It's really hard to build the characteristic of a person, especially if it's on their 20s or 30s, no. So basically we are looking for the characteristics compared to the skills, if you know what I'm saying.
Understood.
Okay.
Understood. Okay. So since we are a VA agency, basically since you're working in the online world, we usually have to focus on skills. And I think I understand what your point. But how would you balance these things? Because once we hire a VA, we're assuming that this VA can handle the task, meaning this VA already has the skills to render it to the client. So given that you mentioned about characters, it is also very, very important because that's also like one of the things that we cannot control. But at the same time, we also have to consider the skills of the VA. So, what would be your proposed approach for us to be able to balance this kind of scenario?
Okay. Um, of course, when we are going to interview applicants or before we proceed to an interview, so we need to screen first their experience to avoid time consuming that we will interview applicants without any experience. So of course we need to screen first if the positions or if the experience that the applicants are match on the job posting that we are looking for. So as I said earlier, characteristics important, but it will come later after the skills. So of course so for us to see if the applicant have the skills, so we need a set of examinations. We are conducting assessment if
Mhm.
since for example as a VA you need to be familiar with Google Suite, Microsoft Office, Canva for editing. So you I can provide a set of examinations how the applicant edit this kind of image or graphics like that, and how for example for social media content, so how she will do a content about this image or how she or he brand our product, something like that, for me to assess the skills if she or he pass the position he's applying for.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so I think my next question would be, what is your current availability? Are you working full time? How many hours can you render in a week?
So currently, I am still working as a nature staff, but now I am looking for a part-time position. But by next year, I will be applying for a full-time. So if ever you get hired, I get hired from you, no, possible, I will pursue my full-time position here in your company or as your partner. So as for my part-time, I'm available at 4 hours a day, so from I think night shift here in the Philippines. Then for full time, if ever by next year, I'm available 8 hours or 40 hours per week.
Awesome. Great. Would be awesome. And my last question would be, what are your expectations for the position? And if you have other questions for me.
Okay. So my expectation, since I am a corporate employee, so it's really, although the tasks are a bit similar for my previous job,
Mm-hmm.
but jumping into a virtual world is a really big difference for me, since I don't have any workmate, or I'm not directly communicating with my um, co-employees, or I am working alone. So my expectation would be if ever I get hired from you would be at least a good environment for me also, not to be feel like I am alone here working. So basically that's it. And also I would like to ask what kind of industry or what kind of company are you, or what services do you offer?
Okay, so I think I just mentioned that I am a VA agency. So we
Okay.
hire VAs to match it with the client. So basically, we offer different kinds of skills and services to our clients depending on their needs.
Okay.
Okay, you have other
Sorry. I have all.
questions?
Okay. Do you have a specific industry or target industry or you service?
Well, since the role is basically focusing on the HR department, an admin kind of task. So in terms of the target clients, we actually serve different kind of industry. But I think some of the details might be talked or discussed between me and the sales team. But for your focus for this position, I just really wanted to make sure that we are hiring the right VAs for each position and for each accounts that we will be matching with the client. So that's the main goal of everything. Okay, so do you have other questions?
One so far.
Awesome. Thank you, Lizette. It was nice speaking with you. Okay, Lizette,
Thank you.
you can put your mic on mute, and now let's proceed with Charles. Okay, let me just.
Oh, good morning. Hey, good evening.
Hi, Charles. Good evening. How are you?
I'm okay. How about you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you so much for joining with me tonight. And I was reviewing your resume, but while I'm checking all the details that you have in here, can you please tell me about yourself and anything that you can share with me tonight?
Mm, my name is Charles Emil Marquez, and I'm currently studying third year college. And then my freelancing experience is when I worked back then in 2020. I work as a data entry for a company named Remotas,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's for 2 weeks. And they gave us quotas every day. I think they give us 60 resume to enter the data.
Mm-hmm.
And right now I'm exploring many technologies in the internet such as Notion, WordPress, website making, yeah, technologies. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So, what we're looking for is a tech VA, and also you will be acting as a CRM manager. Though it's more on the back end, so just helping the other team to make sure that all the data are in order, and when we need to have, because I saw that in your experience, you also have a lead gen experience aside from data gathering or researching, if I'm not mistaken, data entry. So it's more of a combination. So you will act as a tech, VA, tech support. At the same time, you will handle some datas for us. Now, so having said that, can you tell me what is your strongest point or strongest let's just say, what can you offer to us that would set you aside from the other applicants for this position?
I think what they can offer is quality service,
Mm-hmm.
and the data enter is 100% correct. What
Mm-hmm.
like what's the word for that? I think it's efficient. I think I am efficient in my work when
Okay.
I enter data set.
Uh,
And actually, I am very technology. I know many technologies, so I can do my job very very good. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that. So right now you mentioned that you're a student. So what is your setup? How many hours can you render in a week? And how like what are the time schedules that you can work with us if ever you'll be given the position?
I think I can do the time in the night, like 8 to 12, like that.
Okay. Okay, great. Now, since this is a data entry kind of job or a tech VA, aside from Notion and other things that you've mentioned, what do you have any specialization at the moment, or you are kind of a jack of all trades?
Mm, actually, I don't have a specialty, but I can learn very very much faster than anyone else.
Mm. Okay, great. So, yeah, do you have questions for me?
I think not, none, no question.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining in tonight, and you'll receive an update through email after I have interviewed all the applicants. So, have a great night. Thank you, Charles. Okay, now let's proceed to Lizette. You can mute. Oh, Lizette just again. I think she lost her connection. But okay, while waiting for Lizette, I will go through the feedback. Vicky, are you there?
Yes po, yes.
Okay. So Lizette, once Lizette jump in again, then we can resume with her. But let's dive into the feedback. Okay, I'll start with Vicky. So the whole it was a um good interview session. So I
Thank
know
you.
I am pretty sure that you prepared for this because I mentioned this to you last night. That was great. So some of the things that I would suggest is that the intro was quite long. I know that
Okay,
you have a lot of experiences, but I would suggest that you just highlight on things that would be impactful for me
okay,
because I already mentioned what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a recruiter that would help me screen VAs, help me choose the right VA for the right position, right? So I
okay,
know that you have a lot of experiences, but you can just ditch others and just focus on what would help you um uh among like compete with other applicants out there. So that's
okay,
one thing. The next is I know that you mentioned about characteristics, focusing on characteristics, but since this is a different setup, we cannot meet the VAs in person. We cannot meet the employees in person. It's hard to train people like in this kind of setup, though we have trainings, but it's not the same with the actual in-person training where you can really talk to the VA and see everything. So I would always have these like strategies in mind on how I can help the client in terms of focusing or addressing the question about skills and characteristics, because once you become a recruiter or an HR for any company, you will be in charge of screening the people that they'll be hiring. So you cannot really just see the characters of the person through the interview. And I really like your answer about screening them through questions. That is great. But what I would suggest is that you don't have to dive into the different tasks that you need to
okay,
check for them. So you just have to mention that you will strategize, formulate, draft questions that would help them, or you can help you uh like assess if they are fit to the position. So that the checklist will be based on the skills that are required, the task or the capabilities or capabilities of the person for the position. So you don't have to mention, because you mentioned about if they can design, if their designs are good, if they can do the social something. I know that what you meant, but we can, in the future, you can just mention, make it general, like you can
okay,
draft an outline for them to help them assess. And then one thing is I know that there will always be instances where we we kind of like we want to find some words to express ourselves, but since English is not our really mother tongue, but I have no problem with how you communicate. So there will always be time to, we have those kind of scenarios. So what I would suggest is that um uh try to, I'm not sure if you can do it, but try to formulate the words in your head before you speak. Um so somehow we can eliminate the blank hours. I'm not sure what you call
Yes.
that, but one sometimes you can also make some excuses like I don't know what it's called. I forgot the term or something like that. Just to it will also somehow we can. It's different when you have to wait for the person to talk than to just speak your mind out. So whatever you can think of. And one thing also that I would like to mention is try as much as possible to eliminate any filler words. I know that we cannot really stay away from using something like that. It's part of the conversation, but it's one of the key to jump before you jump into an interview is to practice speaking in front of the mirror, or how you practice it before you jump to the actual interview. And I think one of the things that I noticed as well is, though I already mentioned to you that we are a VA agency, you still ask me about the industry that I'm in. So it's always very important to, I know that I did not mention or any, I like gave you the website, but you can, since I mentioned that it will be just me, the company that I have right now. So always check the website, review whatever social presence they have, so you have the background of the company, and that is something you don't have to bring up during the interview. But if you really don't know or don't understand what they do, then you can. And I think before you end the interview, some of the VAs would say that they would like to ask the interviewer like how can you give me some feedback on how I answered your questions? Is there anything that you're looking for that I did not mention? Something like that, because that would be a great closing speech, because somehow you will have a perception on, maybe I missed something. What would be the possible end result of the interview? But so far, it was a great interview session, and thank you for that. I hope that my feedback was helpful for
Yes.
you. So
Thank
you
you.
can definitely apply that in your future interviews. So before I give my feedback to Charles, let's proceed with Lizette. So you can mute everyone, and then Lizette, are you ready?
Hi there. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just having system issue a while ago.
Sure, no problem. Okay, let's get started. Hi, Lizette.
Uh, Hello. Yeah, well, I just have a question because when I entered the room, you're telling me it's a mock
Oh,
interview. Is that right?
yes, it's a this is our last session. This is the
Ah, okay.
last session of the VA training, so I will just be doing a very quick mock-up interview as part of your preparation as a VA. And I know you are already a VA, so it's just very quick.
Okay, all right.
Okay,
Right. So
go ahead.
yeah, should I start?
Yeah, let's start. So, how are you, and can you tell me more about yourself?
Yeah, well, I'm doing good. And sure. Well, my name is Lizette Cardino, and I've already provided my resume. So I started my career first in a BPO industry, and I worked with my first call center company is EGS, and I've been a customer support and a technical support representative for more than 6 years. And in this role, I will learn how to handle customer inquiries, assist them with regards to troubleshooting, and it helped me, or it gave me skills in resolving network problems, and provided me with skills on how I can provide stellar customer experience experience and performs skills
Uh,
above
is that
to
I
meet their
think
expectations. So sorry, I'm so sorry. The
yeah,
person, my and web researcher, I am responsible making sure that
Lizette, your connection is
hello, can
yeah,
you hear me?
you're kind of
I'm
robotic.
having issue
Yes.
with my internet connection right now.
Yes, you're
How about this time?
yeah, somehow it's good. Okay,
Hello?
proceed. Yes, proceed.
Okay. Can I start it again? Okay, so yeah, my name is Lizette Cardino and I'm 29 years old. I'm a customer support and a technical support representative for 6 years. I started my career in BPO industry. In this role, I have learned to become skilled in analyzing problem, assisting customers, and more on troubleshooting network issues. And I started my career in virtual assistant as a virtual assistant a year and 9 months ago with Viva, where I was assigned as a data analyst and a web researcher. So here, what I do is I'm responsible in making sure that the account details submitted in our system are all accurate and verified. And if there were any errors, I'm also the one responsible for updating the file. And most of the information we need can be found online. So we're just using basic tools such as Google Docs, Microsoft Excel, and we are using Slack as our communication tool.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lizette, for sharing that one. So, as mentioned in my job post, what we're looking for is Lizette, I hope that you can hear me because right now your video is it froze. I'm not sure if you can hear me well. Okay, so I think we lost you. Okay. Okay. By the way, everyone, we have 6 minutes here, but I want you to join in once this recording ended. I want you to join in one more time, because I really wanted to make use of this last day before I let you go and spread your wings. Okay, so while we're waiting for Lizette to join in again, so I'll just dive into Charles in terms of feedback. So Charles, I know you're still a student and that is okay. So I met a lot of student VAs. They're still studying, but they have few hours to spend as a virtual assistant. And there is no problem if you're still a student. So one thing that I really wanted to emphasize is that I know it was a surprise for you because you were not here last night, so you were not aware that we will do a mock-up interview. And I think one of the things that you may want to apply in your real interview, job interview, is to always prepare, maybe practice before you jump into the interview. Study the website, as mentioned, study the website of the client, study the job post that was posted. So if they mention specific skills, applications, and tools, you can dive into that, research about that, and highlight that during the interview. For example, you are applying as a tech VA, and it was mentioned that you need to be familiar with Notion, with let's just say other web builder tool. Then during the interview, try to highlight that I have or I've researched or I've tried or I used this blah 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 these tools and all of these things because this is a tech VA kind of position. Now I know that some of the tools might be new to you, so you cannot just assume that I use this tool even though you did not really use that tool. So I think one of the approaches that you can do is try to mention some other tools that might be related to that tools. I mean, almost same functionality. And in that way, you can say that I haven't used this, but I've used this and I feel like they have the same functionality. So somehow I know that I can handle this tool. So in that way, you can still show that you have the skills, even though you don't have the actual experience for that specific tool. And then what if you really don't have any tools or websites to compare it with, then I would suggest that you can mention your background. You are a computer science or computer engineering. Was it science or computer engineering?
Science.
Science. So you can mention that you're a computer science student and somehow technology is part of your daily life as a student. You are constantly exploring tools and websites. So you feel you can this will give an assurance to the client that somehow you can adapt to whatever tools or websites that will be assigned to you. But basically the tools that you have, like if you are really going to apply, make sure that you have reviewed all the tools. You can sometimes mention that you are familiar with the tool if you've researched about it and you feel like you know how to do it because you did some hands-on using their free accounts or whatever accounts that can be accessed in that tool. So that would also help you, that will also help you still be able to um like get the position or maybe show that you have the expertise even if you don't really have the actual experience with the application. So it's always important to do some very quick hands-on to whatever tools that was mentioned. And the next thing is we still have, okay, Lizette is joining, but maybe in the next call we can start with her again. So her internet connection is really not good. Hi Lizette.
Hello.
Yes. You
Hi,
can
I'm so sorry.
after this call, please join in again, like everyone join in again to the same link, and that will be our like second session because we have 1 minute left, and there's some things that I wanted to share, so we have to jump on this same link, but yeah,
All
another
right.
set of session. Okay, I will get back to you. We'll start again with you in a while. Okay,
Okay, thank you.
going back to Charles. I know Charles that you have kind of a lot of filler words, but something we can, you can practice along the way. Just something that I want you to remember to always have, like, prepare yourself. Common questions is tell me about yourself. That is one of the things that you have to prepare. And aside from that question is what can you offer to the company? Because since you are offering a service, it is part of like the usual expectations of the client that they hire you because they need help with something, and you are part of the list that shows some expertise in this kind of need. So you have to emphasize on the things that what you can offer to the client. And I think one of the other thing that I really wanted to emphasize is, I know there are situations like we wanted to say that we can provide 100% service, like accuracy, which is good, but we can